Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a custom video for Derek. Now, if you'd like your own custom video, check out the information in the description of this video, and you can see how you can make one happen. All right, Derek. We've got to thank Derek for me uploading my previous video. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. Link in the description, especially you, Derek, because what I talk about in that video directly applies to what I think is your current situation. That video was in the bin, it was in the can, I wasn't going to upload it, but I got Derek's email and I thought, we have a case study here, I wanted to be able to refer to that video, so I uploaded it. I'm glad I did. A lot of viewers liked it. It resonated with a lot of viewers. So thank you, Derek, for this video, and thank you for resurrecting a video that otherwise wouldn't have seen the light of day. All right, so he writes, "Hey Austin, I was in contact with you before when I visited Tokyo in February and you kindly directed me to where I could find watches. This time I have a question and a custom video would be cool. I have a 4-piece collection, but I always seem to lust over different models." All right, so if you've seen that previous video, you can see where that comes into play here. "I'm also about to get a mortgage, so I can't justify spending a lot of money on a watch. I would need to consider trading some of mine and upgrading at this moment. I currently have a 2003 16570 Explorer 2 with a black dial. That would be an F serial with a no-holes case, solid in-link bracelet, and a Swiss-made dial. That's a GMT watch. I think most of my viewers know that. An Omega Speedmaster Sapphire Sandwich. Okay, that's a beautiful chronograph. I think I prefer that to the Speedy Pro, the 42mm manual wind. And a lot of people would say that's the one to have, that's the one that went to space. They've got a point, but the Sapphire Sandwich is pretty nice, the reduced as it's called. And that reduced size, it's more compact. I think it's a more attractive watch. It's gonna wear better on certain people's wrists. It's an automatic watch. If you're wearing it day in and day out, that's going to be something you really appreciate. Winding your watch is fun, but it kind of gets old after a while. And you have the display case back. You can see that movement that you paid for. And, you know, it's just an attractive chronograph. So that's great. Number 3, a 2017 Rolex Air King and an early 2020 ceramic no-date sub. That's the 40mm 114060. So he's got a 4-piece collection. It's a great collection. Perfect size, not too big. Service costs aren't going to be too much of a burden, but he's got enough pieces to make his life interesting. And he's got a GMT function watch. He's got a chronograph. He's got a dive watch. He doesn't have a dress watch, but he's an artist, so he doesn't really need one. He does have a no-date watch in the Air King. It's arguably a perfect collection, so all is well, or is it? Well, we wouldn't be here if it was. He continues, "I keep thinking I should probably trade the Explorer 2 and Air King together for a Pepsi GMT or a modern GMT two-tone, also adding money to the deal." All right, so we're not talking the 2-for-1 deal, we're talking the 1-for-2 deal, all right? It's not boding well. Okay, logically, this doesn't make a lot of sense to trade a GMT watch for another GMT watch and lose an Air King in the process. But look, the draw of a 16710 is great. It's a beautiful watch, but I know the heart wants what it wants, and attraction is not a choice, but sometimes the head needs to stand up and just say, bad move. All right, let me continue though. "Am I crazy or is this a good idea?" No, you're not crazy, Derek, and no, this isn't a good idea. "I know the Explorer 2 and Air King are great watches, but I'm not wearing them much, and the idea of a GMT excites me." All right, so he's given us 2 reasons why he wants to make this move. He's not wearing the Air King, he's not wearing the Explorer 2, and the GMT excites him. All right, let's talk about the first point first. All right, so Derek, you don't talk about why you're not wearing these watches. So in the comment section, throw a comment, and why aren't you wearing these watches? Hopefully it's not because you hate them. If you hate them, get rid of them, okay? That's easy, but you bought them. My take is that you don't hate them. Perhaps you're tired of them. Perhaps you're bored. You're taking them for granted. It happens, you know, it happens. So what I would advise doing first is to put them in the bank safe for a year. Give them to your parents to put in a sock drawer for a year. Just get away from them, because that way you can give yourself a little space, and when you come back to them, hopefully rediscover them. Now, I don't know if that's going to work, because in your mind you're going to know that they're there. Perhaps you really need to lose them to realize what you have, but I hope it doesn't come to that, because I think ultimately you would regret that trade, all right? And I think you would miss things about those watches that you don't even realize yet, and it's going to be too late to get them back without significant cost. So be careful, all right? Now, when it comes to the second point, the GMT exciting him, look, I refer to that previous video. Again, check it out. I mean, I think the hedonic treadmill is in action here. He's got two perfectly good watches. I mean, one of them pretty much does exactly what the 16710 does, the GMT. It just doesn't have a rotating bezel. But the allure and draw of the new and novel is leading him down a path that I think would ultimately be a disaster, and he'll regret. You know, I think at first he'll be really psyched to get the GMT, but then after a while he's gonna get used to it. The novelty is gonna wear off. He's gonna miss certain aspects of those other watches. He's gonna wonder if it was a good idea. And then a couple years down the road, after he's been staring at that GMT constantly, he's gonna say, you know, I made such a big mistake. The 1-for-2 deal just wasn't wise. And then you're gonna be on to making another bad deal, all right? So you gotta be careful here. And I was in the same situation as you. In fact, it was about 2014. I had the no date sub. I kind of wanted a GMT Master 2, but they were so expensive, so I decided to go with the Explorer 2 Polar. And I loved both of those watches, but I still wanted the GMT. Your grails will haunt you, won't they? And I thought, I gotta get one while I can. All right, prices are just going up. And so did I ever think about trading or getting rid of the Explorer 2 to make that happen? I never did, because I knew that it would be something I would regret in the future. I would miss that white dial. And I never even considered it. I just thought about adding. And I think that's what you need to do as well. Now, I get it. You have a mortgage, and overall financially, you're doing the right thing by not getting this GMT and focusing on, you know, the more serious things in life. But what you're doing then is you're trying to make this move by making a really bad collecting decision. And so good overall financial move not to spend your money, but a bad move to trade these pieces to make this GMT happen. My advice is to save, buy the GMT in the future. Now, I'll come back to the liability of that in a minute, but let me just say, how can you make things interesting? Well, straps can always help with that. But look, you've got 4 black dialed watches. So what about making your Explorer 2 into a polar dial? If you go to RSC, well, at least if you have an RSC like here in Japan, you can, for I want to say $500 or $600, get that polar dial, get the black lacquered hands. That'll be about $150. With service costs and changing it, it would be under $1,000, and you can make your Explorer 2 a polar, and you'll be able to keep that black dial and those silver hands and change back at a later time if you want. And that could reinvigorate your appreciation for that watch, give you a different aesthetic, and you'd have 2 dials. Now, does the RSC in your country do that? It really depends. I mean, it depends on the country, but they do that here in Japan, and so that would be an option to sort of make things kind of interesting. And so my advice would be to save and get the GMT in the future. Now, here's the problem with that, and I made a video about that. I think it was called "The Time to Get a GMT is Now." It was now or yesterday, all right? And I made that video, and you know what? I went out and I got my P serial GMT because prices were just going up. They're still going up. I think the last price here in Japan that I saw, it was $990,000. It was the cheapest GMT, I want to say it was a Master 2 here in Japan. Everything else was over $1,000,000 yen. And look, they're just going up. And so all of us have this fire under our asses to get these models while I can, because if we do it next year, they're going to go up. I remember seeing, when I was living in Fukuoka, I was getting ready to move with my family here to Tokyo, and I saw for, I want to say it was like 6,000 to 7,000, a sea dweller. It was a 16600 pre-ceramic sea dweller. And I looked at it and I thought, man, that's a great price. That's going to be 10,000 in a couple of years. And it just wasn't the time to buy it. I walked away, but here we are. And I just saw a 16600 the other day. It was north of $1,000,000 yen. That's over 10,000 USD. So there you go. So all of us have this fire under us to get all these pieces while we can, because if we get them tomorrow, we're going to pay more for them. But be that as it may, don't sacrifice these two good pieces to do so. You're going to regret that in the future. And once the novelty wears off of the GMT, and it will, you're just going to be stuck in the same place, but with one less watch. All right. So just add, don't sacrifice these pieces unless you hate them, all right? And then sacrifice away. Let me know what you think, guys. Is this good advice? What should Derek do? I think he's bored. I think he's got to appreciate what he has. And there's always room for a GMT in the future. Just don't sacrifice these pieces, okay? That's my advice. But let me know, viewers, what he should do. Help him out. Drop a comment in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.